Welcome to DAX Wednesdays, our bi-weekly video episode on DAX formulas and how to use them.
In today's video, we're going to have a look at the DAX function called lookup value. Lookup value belongs to the filter family of DAX functions. Let's switch to Power BI for the demo. Over here, we already have few tables ready in our data model. So I'm going to use an example of few of my favorite X-Men. In the table called mutant name, we have two columns. One is ID. In the second column, we have the mutant names such as Professor X with the ID of 1, Beast as number 7, Wolverine as number 3. So for this particular table, we only have one unique key or unique identifier for that name. Now what we're going to do is in this ID table, which only has the ID or the number, and as you can see, it is not in order. We have ID such as 0, 2, 4, 5, 8. So it has nothing to do with the other table, but using the lookup DAX function, what we're going to do is we're going to create a second column where Power BI will be able to match the corresponding values from the other table, which is mutant name. So in order to add this column, we're going to click over here, new column. I'm going to name it as name. We'll use our DAX function lookup value. Now let's see which are the arguments that lookup value takes in. First up, we have result column name. The first argument is nothing but the result that we need in this column. So we will be taking in names from the other table, which is mutant name. So we need to select mutant name name. The second argument is search column names. So over here, it's going to match with the column which is ID in the other table, mutant name. So over here, we're going to choose mutant name ID. We put in a comma. Now it's asking which values do you want to search in order to map or match the results. So of course, we'll be matching it with our ID column, which already exists in our table. So put in ID, ID, and we'll close the bracket. Now you can see Power BI has returned us few results in the name column that we just created. Now if we were to go back to mutant name, you can see 2 is Cyclops. Power BI has made that mapping, has looked up that value from the other table to return us Cyclops. And it does similarly for number 4, 5, 8 and 9. So as you can see, we have the corresponding values of 9 for Magneto, 5 is Jean Grey. So you'll see 5 is Jean Grey, 9 is Magneto. Now we have a few cells or few values which are empty. Now the lookup value DAX function lets you put in a fourth argument through which you can put in the text that you want to put in, just in case if there's no result or no return value. So we'll put in, let's say, no name. So by putting in this fourth argument, Power BI now has completed the whole column. It has returned no name, in which it couldn't find the corresponding values in the mutant name table, whereas it has returned us values which do exist from the mutant name table. Now this is a very simple example, since we only had one column or one unique key to match or look up value from the other table. Let's take it a step further by having two columns to look up rather than just one. So we have this third and fourth table called story arcs. So what we have done in this table is we have taken, let's say, the story arc. So if you're a fan of the X-Men franchise, you might already know this story arc of Age of Apocalypse. Then we have Days of Future Past. And then we have the Dark Phoenix saga. The second column that we have is how many Omega level mutants are represented or depicted in the Age of Apocalypse arc. So I'll just put in number 2. So these are just fictitious numbers from a fictional series. So it's just the sake of demonstration. For Days of Future Past, we have, let's say, 5 alpha level mutants. So one may ask, but what is the unique key or unique identifier, unique value over here? So if you can see right now, standalone, these arc and level columns, they do not have a unique value. But if we were to couple two values, you will see that there is just one couple which doesn't repeat. For instance, we have age of apocalypse and omega, which becomes one couple, which is one unique key. This won't be repeated anywhere else. So this is the principle that we're going to use this time around, where we have two values to look up from two different columns in order to fill in this table. So we'll be looking up values from the story arcs table and we'll be completing this table. So as you can see in the fourth table to complete, we already have the two columns present. This is how we'll be mapping or looking up values from the story arcs table. So we want to put in a new column. Now the purpose of creating this column is to find out how many omega level mutants are there, for instance, in the Dark Phoenix story arc. How many beta level mutants are in Age of Apocalypse. So this time around, we're going to put in numbers as the column name. We'll put in once again lookup value. If you remember, the first argument that lookup value our DAX function will take in is the result column. So it will ask you from which table are we looking at values and which column that will be bringing values from. All right, so this time it's story arcs numbers. Second is search column name. Now, as similar to what we did in the first example, it will search a column name and it will search the value in our table. It will search the column name in the story arcs table and it will search the value in the third argument for our table, which is to complete. And we'll be pairing this twice. So since we have two unique identifiers, two unique keys, we'll be pairing this so that DAX function lookup value will understand that, okay, we have made this pairing of story arcs arc, which is the other table, and to complete arc. So as you can see, the column name is similar, but these are two different tables. So this is one pair that we are helping the DAX value to map. Once again, it's asking us in the fourth argument as search column name and search value 2. So as you can see, we had already put in the second argument as search column name 1. Now we are going to put in the search column name 2. So this time it will be the label column from the story arcs table, the fifth argument to complete level. Now, if we were to close this, we'll see that PowerBI has returned us all the numbers that it could look up from the other story arcs table, and it has returned us value that it found with these unique key combination of Dark Phoenix and Omega, which is 1. We can cross check that by going into story arcs. Dark Phoenix and Omega is 1, and so on. But as you can see, we have one arc and level unique key, which is House of M and Alpha. Now, why DAX hasn't written us anything? Because in story arcs table, we don't have a story arc called House of M. So that's why it couldn't return us any value. In order to fill in this last cell, we'll do something similar what we did in the first example. That will put in, let's say, a random number. Since this column is taking in whole numbers as values, we'll put in -1. So for us, it will be kind of a representation that, okay, PowerBI didn't find any value from the other table, so it has put in -1. So this is like the alternative result. So that's the demonstration of lookup value. Let me know in the comments below of what you thought about this video. Do not forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.